In this video, we're going to talk through the key differences in the Asics Novablast 5 and the Hoka Mach 6. Historically, they've both been performance shoes in each brand, but with the recent upgrades, they've now changed. And as a foot and ankle specialist with 10 years of experience of providing advice to patients on footwear, I'm going to talk you through these key differences in terms of fit, performance, and comfort. So let's start off with the Asics Novablast 5 in terms of what it feels underneath. There's 41.5mm of cushioning in the rear foot, 33.5 in the forefoot, giving you an 8mm drop, and they've completely changed the cushioning underneath from an FF Blast Eco to an FF BlastMax. So that feels completely different than the previous model, the Model 4. In terms of the Model 4 was more of a performance shoe, so it was a bit snappier, a bit bouncier. This has a bit more cushion to it, you sink into the shoe a bit more. You've still got good energy return and good responsiveness, but it's not as snappy as what you got on the Model 4. In contrast to that, in the Hoka Mach 6, you have supercritical foam, which is a really snappy, really bouncy, really springy. So you apply pressure to this and it really propulses you forward, so it's a really energetic cushioning. There's 37mm in the heel, 32 in the forefoot, giving you a 5mm drop, and it comes in about 20 grams lighter than the Novablast 5, so 235 grams for men's 9 US versus 255 grams for the same size in the Novablast 5. The fit and the feel and the comfort on top are different as well, but I just want to touch a little bit on the stability elements of the shoe. So both shoes are considered a classic neutral shoe. The Novablast 4 was a bit more of a stable neutral, but because they've changed the cushioning to make it a little bit softer, it's more of a typical neutral shoe. They try to provide extra elements of stability by having sidewalls on the outside and on the inside of the shoe. They come up cradle your ankle, help to provide stability on top of the shoe. They've got a moderately stiff heel counter to cradle your ankle joint, help control pronation moments, and they've got some nice sole flare where the sole comes out wider than where your foot sits in the shoe, along with a broad base of support in the forefoot. So all of these features try to increase the stability of the shoe, but because it's a bit more cushioned, a bit softer, and it's a max stack shoe, it's a little bit more unstable, and therefore we categorize it more of a neutral shoe than the previous model. In contrast to that, the Mach 6 has always been known as a classic neutral performance shoe. They've got a nice posterior lateral heel bevel at the back of the ankle, so that's where the inner is a bit thicker than the outside. So when you hit or initiate contact with the ground, it reduces that pronation moment. It's got a much more flexible heel counter than what you get on the Novablast 5. It's got milder sidewalls that start later down in the shoe, so they're between the heel and the midfoot, on the inside and on the outside of the shoe. And there's a little one on the forefoot as well to help control your motion on top of the shoe. All the aim of these sidewalls is to keep you centered in the shoe as you move. So the reduced stack in the shoe compared to the Novablast with the stability features makes it more of a classic neutral shoe. Then as we move on top of the shoe, we've got a jacquard creel engineered mesh on top of the Mach 6, which is a really thin upper, so they're trying to make the shoe as light as possible, whereas you've got an engineered woven knit on top of the Novablast 5, which is a bit more comfort orientated than what you got on the Mach 6. Then in terms of the fit, they're completely different as well. So you've got a very narrowed tapered fit in Hoka, which is very typical of the Hoka brand. So it's more of a raised leg feel. It wraps around your forefoot. Not ideal if you have sensitivity in the forefoot around your big toe, your little toe, or around symptoms like Morton's neuroma, as it will just cause a little bit of compression in there. In contrast to that, with the Novablast 5, you've got much wider shoe in the forefoot, so plenty of space for your toes to splay. It typically comes in a wider version. This is just the newest model, so it's not wide yet, but in the Novablast 4 we had a wide, so I'd imagine that's to follow. Then we've got a thin tongue on each shoe, slightly thinner on the Hoka. Both of them are gusseted, so they're stitched in so they don't move side to side, and both of them have mild to moderate padding around the heel counter. So the Hoka Mach 6 is more of a performance shoe. It's for up-tempo work, fartleks, race pace. It's really one of our favorite shoes. The supercritical foam is really good in terms of energy, responsiveness. The Novablast 5 has moved more away from being a performance shoe at excellent value, so it typically comes in around $150. Whereas now it's more of a daily use shoe in our opinion, so it's good for eating up the miles. We've done 40 to 50k in this, and the undersole looks like it's brand new, so it's got excellent durability, and it's more for longer runs, easy runs. You can do some sessions and race pace in it, but it's not really a race shoe. So they've changed it slightly. The FF BlastMax cushioning gives it a different feel underneath. So they're now two contrasting shoes, whereas we would have put them in the same category before this. If you've got any questions on them, please leave it in the comment section below. We bought these shoes independently, so if you can buy through the links in the description, it helps fund the channel without affecting the price that you pay. If not, just liking, sharing, and subscribing to the video. It really makes a big difference. Thanks for watching.